moving now. Mama's going on. Mama's moving.
Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. This time we are outside. It is 11:33 p.m. It is pretty cold outside, pretty frigid for the weather we're used to in the summer. Hence the blankets we have right now. So I'm pretty warm blanket.
Now. You can't prove it. Why are we outside, Colin? It is.
So today we're gonna be outside.
Like 11. It's past 11:30.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday night.
Yep.
We are outside with lights.
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube or on our website, you can see clearly we've brought the sign and the lights with us.
Yeah, no, we have a full production out here. Totally
some
mobile.
Spooky red light in the distance.
A little bit of a rave vibe kind of going. We got to keep that going. Yeah. Feel electricity. Bounce. Bounce. Lights are going. Lights are going. Lights are going.
I can't.
That was bad. We should never do that again.
But the real reason we're out here is... Oh, now we have to cue that up in the edit.
You just gotta match them up. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, we're shooting a time-lapse trip. Why don't you kind of describe the camera that you're shooting right now?
Yeah, so I'm shooting on my Sony a7 III with a Metabones adapter from Sony from Canon EF to Sony Sony E-mount.
Mm-hmm, the Metabones, yeah.
Yeah, and that's attached to my Tamron 150 to 600 millimeter lens. And like we said,
it's a chunk.
It's a chunk.
How much does it weigh?
The lens itself weighs 4.7 pounds.
Yep.
The tripod weighs less than the lens on top of it. The whole setup could be described as lightweight, but
I mean, once we show the shot at the end of this, I think you'll be like, oh, damn, like, okay, this is why they were out on a Wednesday night doing this.
Yeah, we're at 500 millimeters.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for everyone in the audience, whoever is out there, if anyone's out there, aliens, 600 years from now, if you somehow find this podcast, I sometimes conflate the meaning or just the words millimeter with milliliter. And so if I'm talking about 500 milliliters, it is not liquid. It is a lens at some focal length.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I usually shoot on like my 14 millimeter. I mean, it makes sense for Astro. That's why I got it 2.8 wide open. What is this? I think at 500, it's like a 6.3 aperture.
It is 6.3.
But with the A7 Mark III, you're getting that, like, what ISO are you pushing right now?
6400.
Okay.
So it's a 10-second exposure.
Plus, we're in Phoenix. I mean, kind of the reason we're here as well is for the time-lapse photography, and, like, we got the sky glow kind of here. So in terms of Flagstaff, where we used to be, we were pretty spoiled.
Normally, we hate sky glow, but in this particular instance, because we're trying to shoot the moon, it's really helping us out because it's filling that foreground for us.
Mm-hmm.
And when that moon pops, it might actually be a little too bright for my lens to take.
Yeah. And we were discussing doing this episode, like, I think, before we did the last one, and perhaps going out to the mountain, but I think the backyard was a good choice.
Oh, yeah. No, we have a cocoa stand inside, so anytime we want hot cocoa, we can just go inside, make it.
Just, like, caption some, like, name brands, like Nespresso, Keurig, we got them all.
Nestle.
Oh.
But no, we don't have a hot cocoa station. We're paleo. We're strictly paleo. No. Getting back to the point we wanted to start with is the this lens. I love this lens.
Mm-hmm.
This Tamron 150 to 600.
Why'd you originally buy it?
That's a funny story, Colin. I know you know it. I'm glad you brought it up.
Glad you asked.
We were in Alaska on Bear Lake, and we saw about the same. I'm convinced it's the same bald eagle.
You'd see like a dozen a day just in town going to Bear Lake everywhere.
They're everywhere. And the wildlife up there is just spectacular.
Yeah.
You literally, we saw bears running through the yard, a mom and 2 cubs.
Yeah, if you want to do quarantine right, just go to Alaska.
Yeah. There was just a moose there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can put that video too. Jeremy sent that to us in the group chat, and it was just this beautiful moose in the snow going over the lake because it's frozen over.
Yeah, and if you don't remember from the last podcast, that's Jeremy Freeman, Jer Bear Free Guy,
Yes.
8 Mile to 6 Mile.
Yes.
We're trying to get him sponsored by Duluth Trading Company. So,
Duluth, it's in the works.
If you're listening,
it's in the works.
Hit him up. But yeah, so I got this lens in Alaska because we saw this bald eagle 50 times a day, and I was like, I just want a lens that I could get right up on his face and just take a beautiful picture. My original thought was, I'm a photographer. I'm a videographer. I just got out of college. I know what I'm doing. I can get some nice photos of bald eagles because you know what?
I saw some Nat Geo posts too.
Nat Geo posts.
Yeah,
and,
Instagram.
You know how many people are going out and taking photos of bald eagles? I could sell prints of those back in Arizona and make change. You know, I can make some. One of these is. Nope. Sorry, y'all.
It was a joke.
Nope. I can make bank. And so that was the original goal, and then I get the lens and immediately regret buying it because it's so expensive.
Plus, it's so funny seeing it in your camera bag.
Oh yeah, no. So it's
and another thing too is I have like a photo of it, but I think that you took was balancing it on the gimbal.
Yeah,
on the Ronin S, which was hilarious.
I mean, it worked though.
It worked.
We were able to get it on the gimbal and balanced and going.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, I immediately felt buyer's remorse. I was like, well, you know, before I get this, like, while this lens is shipping, after I've already purchased it, after Tamron has my money, I'm like, well, I got this because I was thinking, how many people do take photos of bald eagles? I just assumed not that many people, or there weren't that many. Turns out there's thousands upon thousands, maybe even millions of prints, photos, stock photos, everything.
For a lot cheaper, I guess.
For so cheap. So I quickly found out that I couldn't turn a profit on that one. So now I have this wildlife lens on the way, and I'm not going to be able to do exactly what I wanted to do with it. And then I get it, and it turns out, you know, being confident is different than being experienced. That was a quick lesson I learned with this lens. I could not get as close as I wanted to these eagles. It was close enough to be like, oh, wow, you were like right up on that eagle. But it still didn't like get right up on its face. And, you know, it is a discounted lens for what it is. And so the sharpness isn't quite as good as it could be.
Well, and I had a question too, because I was looking up, you know, Sigma offers the same essential lens for $300 cheaper.
Yeah, so there's the Sigma Contemporary lens. And I did do research on this. There's the Sigma Contemporary 150 to 600. There's the Tamron Contemporary 150 to 600. And there's the Tamron.
And they're both EF mount, correct?
Yeah. These are all EF mount. And then there's the Tamron 150 to 600 Sport. And I looked up what the differences of these were. And the Contemporary does not have great autofocus for both. And then the Sport has a better version, and it's supposed to be for wildlife or sports videography or photography. So I was like, that's what I want.
Did you know anything about like the IBIS, I guess? Because obviously it has a lot of features with, you know, just overall correction at 600 millimeters.
And you know, Colin,
it's pretty stable.
I think this goes more into your field and why I like to say...
Well, I know you brought it up before.
If you tell me it's a good buy, it's a good buy. If I tell you it's a good buy, it means you need to do all the research. I don't do any of the legwork, so I didn't know about any of these features with image stabilization, vibration control.
Plus, you were in Alaska, you're like, I'm balling out, dude. Yeah, $1,200 lens. Like, I already own Zeiss.
Dog. I got bank rolls. Man.
Yeah. Felt like it.
It felt like it for a little bit. And then
well, because that's when you got your tripod.
Yeah, I got the tripod, the Metabones, and the lens all in the same.
Didn't you get like the case too?
Oh yeah, and then I also got a case for my Ronin SC.
Yeah.
Yet another purchase that I feel like I should have done a little bit more legwork on it.
Yeah, you're like Ronin SC.
Yeah.
Like
it's a great gimbal for what it's made for. It's made for small, lightweight, mirrorless cameras with pancake lenses.
Mm-hmm.
Anything past a pancake, and if you don't know what a pancake is, it's a very shallow lens.
Like those little 24 mil like Canon stock like ones,
or like
that are
the
like
50
cheap
ones.
Yeah.
And so like they just barely just like protrude off the lens, and you're like, do you even have a lens on there?
It's compensating for sure.
It's compensating, yeah. So like those are generally what you put on the Ronin SC, and so I put my 40 millimeter Batis on there, and it's somewhat problematic, and it's hard to balance, and it's rough. But
plus, if you watch I think the first episode, you already know about the whole story of that lens in general.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that lens.
I was gonna get back to the time lapse as well in terms of like, I have my style, which I was gonna kind of go over, and like my own kind of setup, I guess, which is what we're shooting on right now with the A7S II. But kind of with your setup gear alone, like just internally, how are you shooting? What's your interval kind of like settings for this scenario being in, the Phoenix Metropolitan?
I got a lot of. We did that. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching us on YouTube, it's just a few clicks away. It's our capstone piece, our thesis piece from college was a night sky astronomical beauty, and that's where we talk about light pollution.
If you want to see some time lapses, that's a good video to watch. We'll put that at the end too.
And we shot every single one of those. None of those were scraped from National Geographic on a royalty-free site.
You'll see. But anyways.
So if you don't know what light pollution is, go watch that. We have some experts talk about it. It's pretty cool. What we normally want to do is just get stars. That's why we avoid light pollution. In this situation, we're using the light pollution to our advantage because
we're focusing on the moon right now, which it's funny. It's 11:45 right now, so it should be.
There's some cloud cover too, so this time lapse might not even work out, and that's just the name of the game. But
plus, it was windy today too. Jeez.
Yeah. Internally, I'm shooting at a 10-second exposure, at 6400 ISO, and my white balance is at 3200 Kelvin. That's just because of that sky glow is just very warm light. In the
you kind of want to cool it down a little bit, or
I wanted to cool it down, and so I brought that way down. I'm using one of the creative profiles from Sony. They have a large list of just
I think they have like 9 profiles in the A7 Mark III.
The photo profiles are theirs to your liking. It bakes it into the codec, but this one was for night scenes, so I was like, well, what better time to use it than a time lapse at night?
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing about the A7 III versus the A7S II, which is the Colin's camera, which we're shooting us with, is the A7S II. I have the A7 III. When Colin has to do time lapses, he has to use an external intervalometer.
Mm-hmm.
What that is it's a remote that plugs into his camera, and
just via micro USB.
Yeah, and he sets it up to take photos at an interval. So like every 10 seconds, every 14 seconds, it takes a photo. The A7 III has this really cool feature where it's in camera.
Yeah, you got internal intervalometer.
So
love the words.
I didn't have to pay for it. It's internal intervalometer.
Yeah.
If you can say that 10 times fast, good on you.
Yeah.
So I set that up. My intervals every 20 seconds because they're 10-second exposures, and then every second of an exposure you take, you need that equivalent of process time.
Right.
So you take a 10-second exposure. It's actually 20 seconds to take and process the photo, which is...
And, you've done RAW before, and that's just a pain kind of afterwards, especially because you can't just put it in a compound clip and edit the RAW. It's like you have to edit the photo, apply it to all the other photos, and the processing is ridiculous when you're doing it on a laptop, and then do it, and it's just ridiculous. So shooting JPEG definitely saves file space.
Yeah, no, like a JPEG file... For this, with it being 240 photos, it's going to come out to like...
And it's 10 seconds, right? 24 frames. Yeah.
It's I shoot generally for 24 frames a second. That's what the human eye sees just about. And so that's what most films are shot at. The smoother ones are 30, 60, 120. But,
for like broadcast, but in this sense,
In this sense, I tend to... a 120 rate time-lapse would be cool.
And sorry if you're hearing the plane right now. We're just outside.
Yeah.
Pretty close to Scottsdale Airport.
We're going into our final approach into Scottsdale Airport.
You may have heard this at the air park too, where our headquarters is. So,
yeah, we are. There's nowhere we can't be right in the flight path. Funny thing is, yesterday morning, I'm a huge Cardinals fan. We're getting off topic. It's fine. I'm a huge Cardinals fan. We just signed J.J. Watt, and I see this video on my Instagram last night of his day getting to Arizona, and
everyone saw the tweet too.
Yeah, everyone saw the tweet. He's getting to Arizona. It's his first press conference as a Cardinal. He's signing the contracts, all that blah 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 paperwork. But the cool thing is, I live about a mile from the Scottsdale Airport, and I see opening the video 5:45 or 5:43. JJ arrives in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, the first thing I think is, dude flew over my head while I was sleeping. So I start messaging my buddies who also like football, and I don't think I sent it to you because he's not a big football guy.
Yeah.
He's just a big guy. Ew.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna be using that from now
on. I'll get the soundboard next episode. I'll do it, guys.
But I text all my friends. I say, J.J. Watt flew over my head while I was sleeping at 5:43 this morning. Do whatever you can. Try your hardest. But no matter what, this dude's getting in your backfield when you least expect it. And then one guy was like, oh, man. And some guy was like, yeah. And I was like, good to see we're on the same team. But
nice.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. And, you know, it really wasn't. But, hey, that's just who I am. But, yeah, we'll hear airplane noise from now.
Every now and then.
Let's get back on track, though.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had, like, multiple cameras. Last time we were shooting the RX 100, which, you know, evidently turned off pretty quick. Fortunately enough, you know, again, we're shooting with our two nan lights with soft boxes, just with our sign on a C-stand. And then we got those little nan light LED tubes. I think we were calling it, the first one Wanda, and the other one Vision.
Ayo, because it's a wand. Duh.
Yeah. Having fun with it. But we have one magnetized up there that Tripp just put up there, and then we have another one just kind of like...
I'm just going to take a video on my phone.
Yeah.
So we can just cut this in for the people in the YouTube.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun, I always think, to like see kind of a little BTS, whatever.
But yeah, as you describe what's going on here, I'll just show it.
Very, how'd you call it? Rembrandtian?
Yeah.
As we learned in film school. And you always got to have a plant right in the middle, too.
There's Colin.
Yeah.
Look at him. There's the lens over here. And for those of you just listening, I'm sorry. We are very much into the visual medium.
Yeah.
So, sucks for you, I guess.
Excuse the audio, but check out YouTube or our website. And then we finally got the sandbags filled.
Yeah. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
So we got some sandbags, and Colin took a real step back, and you know, could you explain what your thought process was in ordering those sandbags?
Well, I ordered them. I mean, I didn't want to get them full because of shipping, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, we'll fill it up.
Yeah.
And I never filled it up.
Yeah. So like, his thought process was, we need sandbags. We need them bad.
We just had empty little sandbags on C-stands doing nothing.
And so his idea was, you know what? Let's get some sandbags. And then he thought back to, you know, what's our name? Who are we?
Thrifty.
What do we do? We're Thrifty 50. We're not about to pay $40 for shipping because these sandbags have sand in them.
Yep.
We're going to get empty sandbags, and we're going to fill them up with Home Depot sand or something like that.
Yeah.
3 weeks go by of us having empty sandbags, and we're thinking, we should probably fill these up sometime. How are we going to do that? And I kept saying Home Depot, and you're like, I guess. I mean, I could just go to the wash. I mean, it's free sand. And then
it rained.
And then it rained. And finally, I was like, wait, I'm going to Mexico. And he's like, yeah? I was like, to the beach? And he's like, yeah? I was like, the sandbags. He goes, oh, yeah. You're going to fill up the sand? I was like, well, yeah, but we got to pitch it in the right way. So the idea is the only sand that goes in Thrifty 50 sandbags is the most elegant sand.
South of the border.
South of the border. This sand is 17 microns thinner, lighter, so nice, but still firm. This sand is every bit of the itty bitty, nitty, gritty, thrifty, 50 sand. Yeah, I thought about that process. I thought about the brand. But for real, the thriftiest way to do it was just fill it up at the beach because it's free sand.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about our brand recently. Yeah. You know, just in terms of like where we kind of want to go. Like we're here based in Scottsdale, where both of us live, you know, being post-college. And, I mean, more recently, we're like, all right, like, should we just do some originals? Like, you know, should we like tackle social media and, you know, do some stuff?
Yeah, and the thing is, like,
because we've been focusing a lot on other things, like kind of means to an end, like, you know, building money, like, you know, establishing capital and like finding great clients.
Yeah, and like it's a great segue into a more real point, which is, you know, we're just starting out, and there's several ways you can start out. Everyone starts out differently. We've looked at a lot of different financing options. Some being taking notes from people and return.
And we know there's people with us, like I hope our you know, buddies are watching this too, that are like, yeah, like I didn't really expect to go in the film industry, you know, in the middle of a like pandemic.
Yeah, which is, you know, like it's hard on us all. And the thing is, like, you know, you can go through any of these ways of financing your film. Mm-hmm. You can go through bank loans. There's actual.
We would go through GoFundMe for school and raise like, you know, upwards of like 4.
GoFundMe, Kickstarter. There's so many different ways you can crowdsource. You can financially source. There's film companies that literally just do financing films. Mm-hmm. You can go to friends, family, and be like, hey, I can get you a return on your investment in this amount of time. That's a note. But we were like, we have all this gear. We know people in the Arizona area that we might need some work done for them. Mm-hmm. So why not we like offer them,
use the tools we have,
use the tools we have, and hone our skills while we're making money to get to an end goal. And we kind of just got lost in the weeds. First, we helped my mom with her social media and her website building and content building, and that was a lot of work, and we got paid for it, and you know, it is what it is, but that's not what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Then we get in touch with one of her clients who wanted us to do photos and videos for a property they own. Mm-hmm. So we're like, yes, cool, we're doing this.
Yep. And we get a new drone, all that.
We get a new drone. We're doing all the stuff for it.
And we got about a minute and a half left here on this. This is going to be kind of just a shorter episode, I believe. So any kind of like last statements, I guess, or thoughts?
Yeah. So getting to the end of the story is we originally got signed on with this guy to do a video of his property and do photos of his property. And at some point, he saw our website and was like, that's a really sick website. You guys build websites? And we're like, we built a website. We're not website builders. And he's like, yeah. I mean, clearly you are. We're like, no, we're not.
Like, we are now.
And then he convinced us to build his, which was really cool. And he gave us some money for that. And that's where a lot of our funding's coming from. Mm-hmm. And with that funding, we're going to try and come out with some originals.
Yeah.
To take a long story.
Especially with our buddy Matt that we've talked about, and, you know, get some great written material out there and create some cool content.
Yeah, Matt was in the live studio audience for the first episode.
Yeah.
And we
also,
referenced him.
Sorry about the little wavy lines here. Yeah, it's just because we didn't bring the remote for the LED, so.
Yeah.
Is
it still?
Yeah, we're about done.
How much time?